Very much, James, and it is, of course, me, Pig, and Todd here, excited to bring you this match. The Wonder Bunch. Oh, we're very excited.
It's going to be a good one. I really feel like the key to beating Haz is in scouting exactly what he's doing multiple times during the game. Let's get started. Spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the map, playing as the Blue Zerg. He plays for Team Liquid and represents both Germany and Canada. It is TLO.
Just took out a laser in the previous group stage to top that group. But standing in his way is an enigma, a man that is hard to read, hard to predict. Up here in the top left-hand side, in the red, the Taiwanese monster. It is Haas. One of the wildest players out there. I mean, for those of you who don't watch too much StarCraft, you might wonder why we sound so excited whenever we see Haas. It's because he is such a wild player. He invents his own crazy strategies. He's known to build his buildings everywhere on the map except in his own base a lot of the time. We've seen him proxy his tech, hide it all over the place. And he just does these weird, odd styles that catch players off guard. I mean, strategically, actually looking at it objectively, I'd say the real secret to his success is he cuts a lot of corners. He identifies what people are kind of playing against within a meta, and then he just plays really risky, taking advantage of the fact that people aren't really skill checking him at these certain moments. So he gets away with taking away, you know, a bit of greed here, a bit of greed there, and then just kind of jumps forward into a very surprising timing attack. So I think, as you said, TLO, he's got to scout really well in this match.
Yeah, Haz really understands where are going to be the blind spots of Zergs and where he can hide some tech, and most importantly, how to transition all of these. Because, like I said, I really think the key to beating him is scouting what he's doing and countering it. The problem is, you scout the first thing, and he's already thinking about the next thing that he's going to do, which counters what you're going to do to counter the first thing. So he's always kind of one step ahead in that, and it's just so hard to beat him at his own style. He kind of drags you down in the muds and makes it a chaotic game from there, at which he kind of thrives. But TLO, obviously, a very creative player himself. It's a battle of the two creative players here. One of them a lot more chaotic than the other.
Oh, those two Zerglings of TLO hiding in the bushes, they do manage to sneak past. But that Adept, you know, she was raised knowing that 2 lings in the bush is worth 1 in the hand, and does indeed take one down. The Stalker's going to come out. Is that Zergling going to get up the ramp? I think it will get a scout of the tech and spot that Twilight Council up in the main base.
Yeah, that's a very nice early game scout here, actually. Being able to see this, sees the robo as well.
Do you trust that robo, though, right? You see it go down in front of your scouting Zergling.
Is it, though? Is it a robo?
Is he going to cancel that as soon as the Zergling? TLO wants to check. He's like, I'm not sure if that's legit or not. Does stay up. No cancel for Haas. Going to be going for charge. Actually,
it's still mining gas. It's interesting. Like, if you wanted to go for a pure charge lot attack, he would have stopped mining gas that dropped down a lot of gateways, but he's still mining a decent amount of gas, and now he's going to start adding on gateways.
Wait, is this the same build that... This is just Haas's favorite? Maybe, with the DT edition. So there is a bit of a flex there. You know, he's very fond of the 4 Zealot warp-in drop, where he tries to pick off your queens, flying around the base with the prism, dropping the Zealots on top, and then saving them when the ground units respond. Of course, you can open up with this, come in with a few follow-up DTs, and we've seen Haas's favorite kind of solid style in this matchup over the past year and a half has been to take a 3rd and fully saturated on minerals, but you've never even taken your 3rd or 4th gas geyser on your natural expansion. So you're basically just taking 3 bases of minerals, very low gas, making a ton of charge zealots, and then attacking multiple areas at once to overwhelm the Zerg in the mid game. So I would not be surprised to see that follow up to this one.
Yeah, so far this is kind of standard, obviously, here from Haz. You know, going for the 4 gateways like this. We'll see if he adds on the gases on the expansion, if he takes the 3rd base, or if he just goes into Immortals. There is a 2nd prism already queued here. So this might be a multi-pronged attack with charge loss and Archons here down the line. And he's top pro production here for now. Yeah,
just 40 supply there. So Zealots and Archons going to be coming out in force. TLO on only just 40 drones here. And he's already producing a lot of roaches. He's got a good little ball together coming from the main base.
I think maybe charge loss here to really keep the army there. And then the 2nd prism with the DTs in the main base.
Oh, the Zerglings do spot it, though. That's a very nice pickup there by TLO. Has a lot of vision of that prism, and you can see he is already responding. Oh, actually, maybe that Queen's just going back to inject.
I think DTs will be very scary in the main base.
Yeah, a few roaches
and he goes for DTs, yeah. So that was the plan, but TLO spotting the prism. Okay, Dark Templars are going to be spread out across those mineral lines here to try and snipe as many drones as they can. There is a spore in the main base to detect. He needs to kill the Dark Templar as quickly as possible before it slices down more drones.
That's a lot of drones, Todd. 6 going down there. The one in the natural fell rather quickly, but only 33 workers for TLO. And that's a big economic deficit. Haas on 45 workers has got his third base. Immortal production, still no gases on the natural. It's that same follow-up we know and love. He might make a few sentries with this, a few immortals, but behind that, it is just about a billion zealots. And with the 2 prisms alive, you can threaten on the north. And if the roaches ever come too far forward, you'll trap them with force fields, and then you can hit the main with zealots at the same time. So Dario right now, TLO, he's really got to get a move on with his droning. He needs to get up to about 55 workers as quickly as possible, because if he just keeps building roaches against Zealot Immortal, it's not a winning fight for the Zerg.
And that probe has been there, trapped a long time. That will. They all need to move. So everything can get out, and I guess it will have to get out.
Oh, where's the other Immortal?
Roaches has maybe getting a little bit overeager here. The Immortal going to get jumped on top of, and TLO, that might be a snipe on the third base.
Yeah, and
he's forcing a really bad fight out of Haas.
Wow, this was such an awkward engagement from Haas here. The roaches with roach speed diving across, TLO being forced into a lot of units that weren't drones. Normally a disaster for the Zerg player, but he does pick off some important tech units. Now, as these other zealots on the other side of the map come home, TLO is going to have to run on out of there. Oh, more roaches coming in. He's going to keep stutter stepping, trying to pick off these zealots as best he can, but with a DT in there and those immortals behind, you've got to be careful. TLO, he's built a few more workers behind this. He's got a +1 range upgrade. I love that Contaminate. That is a lovely addition. Going to slow down the immortal production for now, freeze that to a halt, and we see a bit more control for TLO. 54 workers, range upgrades, his creep's starting to get out there. It feels like he's asserted some control, and Haas, he's never really been able to use that third mineral line in this game.
I wonder if TLO might keep spamming this. Yeah, he will. So he's going to keep the immortal count as low as possible, and then maybe re-attack. Yeah. Or not.
I mean, right?
He's not using it.
He's got to be wary overextending into this, especially if those force fields land well. Haas is going to try to bait him forward, land force fields, and then swing the zealots in.
There's 0 Ravagers to break force fields. He can't escape.
Yeah, this is scary. He's got to stand and fight.
Oh my
no,
God.
That's what we're worried about. The sentry drop force fields those units there and traps these roaches. A bit of creep comes down, but that is a bad fight there for TLO. Trading out so many roaches just for zealots. The immortals and sentries still standing strong in the back line, and Haas now ready to go. He is not building probes at all, only building immortals. Yet again, though, another overseer is going to come in and try to contaminate that robotics. If it can stop that, it'll be nice. Oh, it doesn't quite have the energy. There we go.
60 army supply to 60 and quite a few immortals out on the map. 3 of them already across the map. TLO, he needs to hold on here against this attack. He needs to get as many roaches as he can. There's not many force fields available, so if he can get on top of this army, might be able to deal pretty well with it, but do you want to get on top of that many zealots?
That's so scary. You can't get caught in this choke point between the hatchery and that big statue on the left. If TLO goes too deep, he's going to get trapped. And look at this. Haas is just baiting him. The Queen's actually microed forward by TLO. Activate every single immortal barrier before the fight happens, but there's still too few Ravagers. I don't know if TLO can take this fight. He may just have to give up the hatchery, but he's not willing to. He's going to come in with a huge arc. Force fields being broken on the left flank. Roaches coming through the middle as well. The drones being forced through. They drill forward onto the immortals and sentries, trying to take away that anti-armor damage. Nice focus fire. The immortals going down.
Yeah, and a lot of the zealots were trapped here behind for a little bit. They couldn't attack. Nice pickup on one of those immortals. TLO kiting back as well as he can. He's trying to stay in there. He's kind of running out of roaches, but so is Haas with the zealots. One immortal still low on hit points. The Queen trying to do what it can. TLO lost a lot of workers here, down to 38 against 49. But Haas might just be content with the damage here and pull on back home.
It's the right call for Haas. After losing those 2 immortals, his Warp Prism, of course, was just a little bit too far behind the fight. And remember that Warp Prism range is, of course, just slightly less than it used to be. Nice. He's got 4 overseers taking turns, and he just keeps that robotics production shut down, weakening the anti-roach damage in the back of this force. And that's still a pretty scary roach Ravager ball right now. I think Haas might be coming in here just a little bit too early. He's got to be careful with what sort of fight he takes.
He has some force fields available. Those are going to be used pretty early. The archery going down on hit points here. I don't think there is any transfusions around.
Oh, those roaches trying to arc in from multiple sides. TLO making the best of a bad situation, but the fact remains is that he's being locked even on supply with a Protoss player who's got Immortals and Sentries as well as those Charge Zealots. And it's just a better army composition for Haas. Haas takes the snipe on that base. He's going to retreat. Does have to keep those Immortals alive. This may be an overextension from TLO.
Yeah, I think he has no choice because he lost the third base. He might have to go all in here. He's getting more units behind this, restarting the third hatchery. And against the Prism and Immortals, it's going to be a very difficult fight to take here.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking pretty desperate. Aspire goes down, third hatch being rebuilt. TLO down in supply against an Immortal Charge Zealot army. That's just too much. With the Zealot reinforce coming in, he has to turn tail and run, but he's losing his Overseers on the way back. His Roach Ravager count is low, and Haas with a very, very nice Game 1 victory. You called it. DT's in the main while the Zealots distracted at the third. A lovely 1-2 punch.
Takes one to know one.
The master of DTs as well. You were a big fan of the DTs back in the day.
I've stolen quite a few games that I didn't deserve, obviously.
Yeah, a few of those. Yeah, we were talking about one of those. Maybe ruined a few of my dreams as a pro player a few times. Maybe. We don't need to talk about that.
I think it's really clever the way he did it too, because like obviously you have to really worry about a massive charge lot attack.
Yeah.
And TLO couldn't follow up Scout exactly on what was happening, whether there was a proper Dark Shrine, how much gas was being mined. So again, has used the lack of information from his opponents to really trick him. And even though he did spot the Prism headed there and he had the Spore on the way, it only takes a few drones being sniped for you to be in trouble, because from there you have to decide whether you get more units or more drones. And Haas was applying so much pressure. He was also squeezing out a few probes here and there. It's not like he stayed on 40 and he was like, I'm just going to keep attacking and it's either going to work or it's not going to work. No, he realized he was doing enough damage that if he built up his own economy, he could pull further ahead.
It's such an interesting scenario because TLO was building roaches nonstop from 40 workers, which seems safe, but the positioning is definitely what caught him out, as well as not having the detection up in the main base. But it's always tough against this man. I feel like when you look at Haas, he hits these sharp timing attacks, and it often is off something that's being kind of skipped in the early game. Like if you look at it, sometimes he just doesn't play safe at all against, say, like a Speedling all-in. Or he won't really pressure with the Adept at the normal timing, or he'll skip the Probe Scout to get a bit more resources. It does put the pressure now on this man up here in the top left-hand side, representing Team Liquid. He is the blue Zerg player. It is TLO.
The Von der Wunsch himself.
Dr. Dario.
He created creativity. His opponent in the reds. One of the cheesiest players out there, and we love him for it. It is Haas. Also known as the Breaker of Kalaris.
The King of Cannons. Master of WCS Taiwan, Hong Kong region. And generally just an absolute monster to play against. And that's his favorite structure right there. That's why we call him, the Breaker of Kalaris and the Master of Cheese, the connoisseur of the fondue for a reason. He's going to bring out that cannon rush for sure. We've seen this evolve. We saw it just earlier today, of course, on the mainstream with Shadone showing this sort of recessed one. Now there's this, is he going to do it on this corner? Just next to the Rubik's Cube kind of lights there. Yeah. Real dirty.
And I tell you what, against some players, you see this, you're like, okay, this is probably a fake. If Haas does this, overreact more than you're going to underreact.
Well, TLO is only pulling 2 extra drones. He's seen the second probe, so he knows it's committed. But he's just going to try to force a few more structures out and kind of annoy Haas. But he wants to have his follow-up quick enough. We saw Silky pull a ton of drones against Shadone.
Yeah.
But he ended up losing so much mining time that his Ravages were like massively delayed. And he wasn't able to fight it. And if that position gets up and they're able to just siege you with Immortals, it really can be very problematic. So you can see Dario here going for the minimalistic response. Just trying to say, look, I'll lose a bit of mining time, you can lose that, but I can still get Ravages up at the same time. He's got to balance this out, because we're going to see a Robo drop here it'll probably go on the low ground, right? You wouldn't drop the Robo in the main base?
It's Haas. If he wants to drop a Nexus here, as far as I'm concerned, he's going to do it, even though he doesn't even have the space.
Yeah, he actually canceled a cannon to make space for the Robo. Oh, that's beautiful. That's art right there. He's doing a finger painting in TLO's base right
no
now.
hesitation. I like the way TLO is reacting to it, but obviously you need to get enough Roach Ravager out
Yeah.
to be able to deal with this, and you need to not overcommit. If you lose patience against this, even for 1 second, you're like, all right, I've had enough.
Yeah.
You go into the fight, you fight the cannons plus the shield batteries, you're going to be in big trouble.
With this in your main base, I kind of feel like you almost have to try to break through before the prism gets out. Or like at least have worn down most of the shield battery energy. The problem is the shield batteries, it's really rough. Like I normally prefer an option where you cancel a hatchery, have it on their side of the map, and you're trying to get it up. But
that's a nice cancel here being forced. We're going to see the first Immortal starting here in a second. As TLO's already morphing 2 Ravagers, he can start on spamming this corrosive bile here on top of those buildings.
They're clumped up as well, so he's going to try and place the corrosive biles in between the buildings so that he's hitting 2 at a time.
Ooh, he found a 6 spot here.
Oh, did he just accidental corrosive bile on the low ground? But there we go. So he's starting to throw them. Yeah, he's hitting both shield batteries at once. A lovely hold position angle. First Immortal's almost out though, so that's gonna, it's gonna be the end of that very, very soon. Queen on the high ground has a transfuse. She'll have another one very soon.
Yeah, I think the key against this build is if you can reach like 6 Ravagers plus as soon as possible. You're just going to spam bites and he's going to go for it. He pulls the drones.
Oh,
he wants to shut that down
he's just going to go for it. I love it. I actually love this decision. He's going to try and take out the cannons here. The Immortal is getting overwhelmed. Yeah, he's losing a few drones, but the Immortal backed into the corner, eats 3 biles to the face, and TLO realizing if he can get rid of this right now, he can afford to sacrifice a ton of economy for it. And there isn't even, the investment in a robo unit right now. He's just falling back on the Nexus behind it. Haas,
get off my lawn.
Get out of here, you dirty Protoss. And no, he actually does. I thought he was going to stay in that one. That's a really, really nice hold though from TLO. I haven't seen anyone pull the drones like that before, and I think it's such a good decision.
Yeah.
Because you were saying wait till you get 6 Ravagers. That times out with the Warp Prism being there. Yeah. And then once it starts ferrying up and down, if you can land 6 biles at once, there's no chance for healing, right? You just knock out a pylon, knock out a pylon, knock out a cannon.
He had the perfect reaction here, I think, with this. You called it, had to go for it before the Prism was out. Shut this down. Even though he lost a bunch of drones, doesn't matter. He can re-drone behind his. He's the one with, I guess, somewhat of a tech with the Roach and Ravagers. He can counter pressure behind his. Has usually he's not gonna have any tech. Maybe the best he could do is maybe if he dropped a Stargate on his side of the map, but he would have a choice between that and the Nexus. He chose the Nexus, then he was like, well, I'll just die to the counter attack anyway, so let's just leave and go to map number 3.
Yeah, that economic advantage, right? It's like, oh, they're on the same workers, but like 2 hatcheries and a queen injecting, producing drones. It's like you'll have triple the worker count in no time. The ability to just explode into workers if you've already got those hatcheries finished as a Zerg is very powerful. So I love that reaction by TLO, and it's something I wish we'd see more of people committing to that, especially when it's in your main base. Like, I think wait for the 6 Ravagers if it's a bit further away, you've got more space. When they've got an Immortal like standing there in range of your hatchery, hitting it while getting healed by a shield battery, you know you're in trouble. And that was the sort of situation that Haas had set up. So Dario does get a point on the board, ties the series up there 1-1.
A very different PvZ than what we saw in the previous one.
A little bit different.
Slightly faster.
It's like, if there was a few moments where those players were kind of like trying to, play it a little bit slower, slow things down. Haas here, he knows only 1 speed. He doesn't know that there's a break in the StarCraft truck. He only puts his foot on the accelerator. And all right, let's go game 3. The deciding match here in this group stage 3, first series of the group, of course. Up in the top left in the blue, representing Team Liquid, everyone's favorite creative Zerg player. Give it up for TLO.
His opponent in the reds had a little bit of trouble in the previous one. We'll see if he still plays very aggressive. It is Haas. What brand of aggression is he going to choose? And TLO actually going for the hatchery block himself here on Thunderbird. One of the maps that's been there for a while. It was already in the previous map pool last season.
Well, TLO comes from Germany originally, but he's been residing here in Canada and competing here. And I think that NA ladder starts to leach into your bones the more you play here. So TLO says, you know what, you're going to do weird, aggressive stuff. I'm going to throw your build off before you even get a chance. And this is one of the bravest things you can do against Haas, because Haas is the master of chaos. You talked about how he likes to drag the game down in the mud. This is like TLO jumped into the mud himself, was like, come fight me here. Haas loves this sort of game. This is his favorite sort of game. You think he doesn't have a contingency for this? He absolutely does. He's already setting up his proxy. I would imagine it's going to be an Oracle proxied Stargate.
Yeah.
But he's also pulling just 4 probes to get this hatchery nice and weak and chrono boosting out that Zealot very quickly.
And because the game has opened in an unconventional way now with this proxy hatchery, those TLO remember to scout that corner, which if not, it's going to be so close to his natural and going to hit so early. I mean, assuming he finally starts that as he waits for the Cybercore to finish here.
I feel like with this timing of the Cybercore and the spawning pool's not even halfway done, you're like, can you even have a spore crawler by the time an Oracle hits? Like,
you would have to know. That's the thing.
Yeah, you have to know. This is like a safety spore would need to be down at like 2:30.
Probably not.
This drone is actually really important. He's kept that alive. He's cancelled the hatchery.
Oh, he doesn't check the gases.
Oh, he doesn't. Yeah, checking the main base would be so important. I mean,
oh my god.
Oh, that's. I mean, it's good because it definitely hurts Haas's follow-up. But Haas actually doesn't have the money for that expansion for another like 30 seconds anyway. So actually, I'm going to correct that. It achieves nothing. Hopefully, though, the fact that there is no base starts to make TLO think about this. And he's got to get that cancelled. Does barely get those resources back.
TLO is really poking the bear here, though, because sometimes you don't even need to like block this guy's Nexus, and he's going for it. But now that he blocked it this much, Haas is like, all right, this is it.
Yeah, this is
like you wanted the best version of me, you're gonna get it.
It's a dangerous game to be playing, man. I know I would not be brave enough to do this, but Dario's Overlord still sees no Nexus. He's got to know something's up. And he's got a Zergling scouting the north side. He isn't scouting below the natural. He's scouting the more common proxy Stargate location up here.
And TLO's taking a third hatchery as well, even though he sees no Nexus, he only saw now.
He's going Overlord speed. Like, the third hatchery is fine, but he just has to start a Spore Crawler. And he's not going to. 2 Adepts come in. The Queens are distracted. The Oracle dives into the natural at the same time. And we've got both mineral lines under siege. The Adepts dancing through the main base. No Zerglings to greet them. Only a handful of slow Zerglings. The Oracle finally gets shooed away, but not before a bloodbath is unleashed on TLO's mineral line. 13 worker kills. That is a disaster.
14 drones to 24 probes. As he's got a Nexus on the way. I mean, we have the third hatchery on the way for TLO, but you lose half your economy in a game like this, you're in a world of trouble, obviously.
It's funny, right? Because now
he finally scouts, but I mean, he knows what happened anyway now. It's too late. It's like invested into that for nothing.
He can get back in this, but it's this awkward game where he wants to spend all of his money on drones to the point where he can barely even afford Spore Crawlers right now. And he's going to try and skimp on them at least a little bit. These Oracles are such a threat. Yeah, the Queens need to be in position, and they are. Nice. Even focuses the weak one. Hopefully there's a Spore in that natural up.
And also it's Haas. Like, after wave number 1, you know it's going to be going for some sort of follow-up and still keep on being aggressive behind this.
Ooh, get some lava. Nice. Focus fire there from Haas. Focuses down 2 of those lava. Of course, once they turn into eggs, very, very tough to take him out. But as lava, they go down very easily, especially because the spell damage of the Oracles does not care about armor. Twilight and Robo follow-up. Similar to that last game, but he's got the 2 Oracles creating threat on the other side, creating problems here for TLO.
It's going to be a cancel, I think. Yeah.
Does save it, though. Saving the drone's good. TLO's trying to get that worker count back up, and he's doing it. The problem is those Oracles keep trading with him, and we haven't really seen TLO advance his tech. So this might look like it's a recoverable situation, and it certainly is for TLO. The problem is we're going to see him miles behind on things like Roach speed, any potential mute attack, anything like that. Whereas we've already got an Immortal on the field when the Roach Warrens just started, and that's not a good position to be in as the Zerg, because the big range of Protoss attacks that can come out, Immortal Sentries, all this sort of stuff, it can hit you way sooner then your tech is actually ready to deal with it. Add the Oracle harass that's keeping him busy, it's going to be a tough situation for TLO.
I think the plan's still going to be the same for TLO. Drone up and survive, try to see what's happening. I guess this pneumatized carapace will come in handy as he's scouting everything. You see something being researched here. Out of the Twilight Council, might be able to spot the Templar archives, and he sees the full saturation, which is a big piece of information on where his opponent is at in terms of economy, so he can react accordingly with building his own.
Lots of gateways going down. Would love to see a third base on the way for Haas, even just to kind of signal to TLO, like, oh, hey, buddy, yeah, I want to play a macro game, sure. Just to give him, the comfort. Give him the comfort. And the Zergling's hanging around. TLO is frozen on 42 workers right now, massing roaches, knowing he needs to be ready for this push. I think what's so scary about this style from Haas is he's shown a lot of flexibility in the past, where you think he's all in, you're building units, you're ready for the push, and he'll just camp there. Remember, we kept hold positioning in that last game where he said, no, we're even on economy. Like, every second that goes by is good for me. I'm still building Immortals. I'm still doing this. I'm still building some probes behind. He's going to probably drop a third Nexus behind this, potentially. The Overlord comes through, sees no third. Dario just non-stop building roaches right now. He knows it's going to be a tough battle ahead. 2 Immortals with this army. Archon's joining in.
Yeah, that one single sentry is very important, by the way, for Guardian Shield. Is going to help a ton. I mean, TLO does have a ton of roaches, and that revelation only tagged a little bit of the army, so I'm not sure if Has realizes how many roaches. Okay, now he does.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he wants to engage into this. Like, that's a big army here from TLO already. So TLO really caught up very nicely, I gotta say here.
And he spots the third, starts droning again. I love it. Yeah, it's actually really good flexibility from both players. Haas realizing, like, this is not a good idea to push up that ramp. Ooh, just leaves the Archons to harass. And does save those with the Prism for now. But TLO's got to take that worker advantage, and he's got to kind of figure out how he's going to cement his mid-game in terms of the tech. I think, you know, we've seen a lot of Swarm Host Nidus recently. That's very popular here on this map. But I wouldn't mind him just playing a safe style and kind of adding upgrades. Like, he's got the Evo on the way, kind of just get the Baneling Nest, get some melee upgrades, maybe even go double Evo. I wouldn't mind range and, ooh, melee attack. But, the Oracle Archon harass actually doing a great job here from Haas.
Not yet. I think that was the Oracles doing the damage. But yeah, now the Archons will come in, kill some more drones. TLO needs to try and diminish the damage he's suffering here right now.
Yeah, the supply looks
Both
okay.
Oracles died.
But I think we need to break the Todd rule, right? When it's just roach supply, looking at the supply, maybe not as useful for getting a picture
We
of the
never
game.
break the rule.
We never break the rule, so TLO's winning. He's
Yeah.
14 supply ahead, 13 supply, 15 supply ahead.
Why are you telling me? I'm looking.
Always, sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you. I should know. I should
Infestation pit going down actually from TLO now. As clear reconstitutions finally about to finish.
Infestation pit. Yeah, I like the choice. I think it's such a good unit for wearing down attacks as well and just keeping you alive. So
Killing both
good
Oracles
choice.
was super important because now there is no revelation, there is a lot less scouting capability, and most of all, TLO is really safe now in terms of his mineral lines and drones being there. Obviously, a War Prism could fly in, but he can see that come in, react a little bit more easily. So that definitely makes his life quite a bit easier here, for sure.
And interestingly, Blink coming in, we've seen this a bit more, and obviously it's a great way to like kind of preempt any Mutalisks and counter them, but it can also jump on Swarm Hosts, right? You've got the mobility to kind of evade the Locusts really easily. In terms of their general combat ability, though, Stalkers just aren't that great, right? But, I mean, you've got Immortals, you've got Archons backing them up. You don't need the most fantastic unit, as long as you've got something that's flexible enough to deal with these fancy tech options of Zerg. So I kind of get it, but I'm not always 100% convinced it's like just the most effective, right? Because it's such a well-rounded unit choice, it doesn't always deal with every situation perfectly. And Fester's actually on the way immediately for TLO.
You know what? I kind of like the choice. Wait, did the Forge get unpowered?
Oh, yeah, looks like you're contaminated. It'll still be finishing in time for this attack, though. Is that a Warp Prism on the north side sneaking into the main? Oh, that's going to pair up along with the army on the south. The Roach Ravager is down at the third, not in the main. A good cancel on the fourth for TLO. There's no way he can be out there. Uh-oh, that is a gigantic attack.
Yeah, Has is committing very heavily to this here. He's trying to do some massive damage. TLO staying on the high ground with the rest of his army against this one. Corrosive Bias actually missed here for the most part. Has blinking there before the Infestors finally joined the fight here, so no fungals were going to be available. I really like the choice of TLO of going for Infestors to try and land some fungal and synergize it with Corrosive Bile, but Has is just not giving him the time to reach that. Actually, the Rotron took a ton of damage here. If that goes down.
Yeah, if that goes down, that's going to be a real problem. This whole position, this is what we're talking about. Haas does this so well, this Prism in the main, creating such a big problem for TLO. It's so hard to fight. And look at this, the army on the front just threatens, it holds position, and he's warping in Zealots in the third base as well now. Dario's economy has been absolutely minced. Haas here, just running a clinic on multi-pronged Protoss aggression, setting up the threat on the front, swinging in from the back, and whenever TLO goes to respond to those swings on the back, he pushes in the front. Haas, hitting from many sides at once, closes out that series in decisive fashion. And a 2-1 victory for the Slayer of Kalaris, the king of fondue, the king of cheese, and the absolute master of this matchup. We always talk about your versus Zerg needing to be good for WCS tournaments, and Haas has shown it's consistent over the years, and once again, it's a big threat for any player going up against him. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. We're going to be sending it over to Kalaris and hear from those guys down on the stage, actually, with the rest.
You were partially accurate, I suppose, in all of that. Yes, you were back with us here at the desk. It is fantastic. And we have Haas. It's always a hit. I told you guys, it's always a hit with Haas. He takes the series 2-1. Unfortunate for TLO, but he had everything in the kitchen sink really thrown at him, Jess.
I mean, the second game was always, I felt, that was the most Haas, and that's also the one that he lost.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I still don't know if I count that as a hit. That was actually more just, you bringing up he's maybe like playing a little more standard, and he actually did okay.
There you go. Roddy, your thoughts?
The most TLO performance ever, winning a very tough group over Elaser, Nemchar, and Disc. Like, that's super impressive to me. And then getting Haas in group stage 3, you're supposed to be kind of happy with that. Of course, he's dangerous, he's scary, he's good. But if you really want to make those proper deep runs, you got to be able to defeat a Haas.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to do it. Well done, though, by Haas. I actually really like the way that he played the more macro, quote-unquote oriented games, because it's always like it's macro up to a point where he truly just wants to win right here, right now, but he got the job done. I was kind of distracted though, because I've got some cool news. This morning we were going over Stefano. We're talking a little bit about him, like, does he really still have it? Is he just here for fun? It's like, no, I'm pretty sure he's been playing quite a bit, but I know he's been struggling a little bit, and he hasn't been able to show it for a while. He just won his group stage 3 group.
Wow.
Wait, completely?
He won.
It's finished already.
He 2-0 time, who, by the way, 3-0-2 a while ago, like two weeks ago, and she was over the world 3 weeks ago. So defeating time 2-0, I think, is massive. And then he also defeated Gerald 2-0 in the upper bracket match. So well done, Stefano, winning his 3rd group. I mean, when's the last time we ever said that?
That's straight to the round of 16.
Yeah, I know, that's amazing
Skipping
for
the round
him.
of 24.
Yep. Really, really cool. I mean, we said it would be awesome to see Illy make a magical run. Top 16 is not magical yet, but it's pretty damn good. If he wins that round of 16 as well, Stefano in the top 8, I'd be so super impressed, and I'd be really pleased to see it as well.
I'd get that GIF out that says, what year is it at that point? That's some crazy potential stuff. And actually, well, that's pretty much it here for the desk segment to get things going. Thank you very much, guys. Of course, we're going to go to a short break now. When we return, we have Lambo versus Hero Marine coming up here. It's a big fixture for WCS.